Hello, Snugglebugs, and welcome to our first official, actual card review of Voyage, the Sunken City. I know I went over a few in the discussion about the expansion, so all I'm going to do for those cards, since those ideas are already there, I'll try to remember to put that description in the link in the description and below, is I'll go over all the new cards in a little bit of detail, what I feel about them. I want to try to remember to give them all up to a 5-star rating, if you will. And then for all the ones we technically talked about in the other video, I'm just going to kind of bring it up on the screen and do it real quick, and just sort of give my star rating that wasn't in there before. So first up, probably the thing that I talked about in the last video that I was hoping was not going to happen, that apparently is happening, is Pirate Warrior support with Nelly the Great Thresher. So Nelly is the warrior colossal. It is a sea urchin thing with a ship basically on its back. Is the colossal piece that it summons is Nelly's ship, and its battle cry: discover 3 pirates to Nelly's ship. Nelly's ship is a 2/6 with taunt and death rattle. Add Nelly's pirate crew to your hand. They all cost 1. Effectively, you get to discover 3 pirates, put them into this death rattle, add them to your hand, and they only cost 1. Yes, it's a little expensive for typical Pirate Warrior. I do think with some of the stuff rotating out, what we're going to end up seeing is maybe it shift to a mid-rangey board control-y type with stuff like Nelly and maybe even Rokara the hero card as a finisher, which I think some Pirate Warriors play today already. I guess the one thing I kind of want to throw out there is I've seen on Reddit that with the Discover pool favoring Warrior, it lowers it some, but there's probably about a 20-25% chance, someone did the math there, that one of those 3 pirates you discover has a really good, basically that 20-25% chance of being a Mr. Smite if you don't already have one in your hand. So this just becomes you get Mr. Smite, you pick 2 pirates with massive attack, even say 3 or 4 attack if you discover those. And all of a sudden, the turn after that thing dies, the ship dies, you get to hit them in the face for like 12 charge damage, not to mention anything else you already have on the board, or if you've completed the quest already, etc. So I think this will help. I mean, honestly, as much as I personally don't like Pirate Warrior, it's not like a super strong deck in Standard right now. We'll see how it goes. I personally love this card outside of that, just for it's a big warrior card that refills your hand and can give you some charge potential later. Honestly, this could even go into like the more control-y style decks that already play the 9/9 charge guy. Overall, I am going to go out on a limb and give this warrior card 5 stars to start. Next up is the Warlock, Colossal Minion, Gigafin. So Gigafin is a 7/4 Colossal +1, which again means it's going to add a secondary minion, which I'll get to in a sec. Battlecry: devour all enemy minions. Death Rattle: spit them back out. So you're looking at this like, it's not really a wipe because it does kill them. So if they have death rattles and stuff, it still goes off. Plus it gives it to them back. So a 7/4 that potentially clears the board, if you will, but then it gives it back. So on that notion, it's like, that's fine. But the thing is its Colossal Minion is a 4/7 taunt, death rattle, permanently destroy all the minions in Gigafin. So they have to, your opponent, if you eat, say, 3 or 4 minions with this, they would have to destroy this likely with a spell or something before they destroy your Gigafin's Maw, the colossal side of this minion, or else all the stuff just dies, which means this becomes a 11/11 stat line for 8 that wipes the board and doesn't give your stuff back, which is very powerful. As well as the fact it's got that Murloc tag. So as we talked about Vilefin the other day, with Vilefin, it was only going to be plausible if there's good Murloc support, and obviously I know this is just 1, but just imagine getting this from the bottom of your deck. Yes, it would cost you 8 health, but being able to play this, say, on turn 5, even for 8 health, it ends up countering your opponent so hard. 11/11, say, on turn 5, that wipes their board, and if you're playing aggressive Murloc style things, like, I don't know. It just, that feels very, plus you have the stuff that puts stuff on the bottom of your deck, so you can possibly try to force that to happen. I know I heard Zeddy note that in that case I just spoke of, too, the 8 damage if you're playing this in Demon Seed, it completes 1 whole stage of the quest, so maybe there's possibility for that to come back and be more prominent. I don't want to start with things making it sound like I think everything's going to be super strong, but I have to give this one 5 stars as well. And then after that, we have a few new Druid cards. First up, I'm going to go over the Druid Legendary, Hedra the Heretic. 4/5 for 7, battle cry for each spell you've cast while holding this, summon a minion of that spell's cost. So I will admit right off the bat, I will say I like the fact it says while holding this. It makes it so drawing this later or whatever isn't really going to, be super helpful. It's a 4/5 that may summon you like one thing, which is great. Obviously, it makes you almost want to keep this in your opening hand, and you play certain spells, and you potentially can get, by the time you get to turn 7, a full board of like 1, 2, 6 cost stuff. Of course, that's in a perfect spell curve type of hand, but still, I do think this is going to be really strong with the right deck build. I do know Spell Druid currently is one of the most powerful decks in the game. I mean, yes, Kazakhstan is their finisher, so this not being a dragon, who knows if it'll fit directly into that, but depending on other Naga or spell support, we could even see Spell Druid just sort of shift away if they have effectively more powerful things. I think because of the fact that it's going to be competing directly with Kazakhstan Druid in that sense, I'm going to give this one only a 3 stars. I think the card itself sounds great, but the limitation of it needing to be in your hand, it's a legendary, so you only have one of it in your deck. Again, it's going to be competing with that Kazakhstan slot probably, unless you play them both and just hope that you get Hedra before you play Kazakhstan kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just me hoping that Druid isn't going to be as prevalent in the next expansion, but I am going to give this one a 3 stars. With that, though, already, Druid is also getting Miracle Growth, more draw for Druid. However, it is later, like 7 mana, draw 3, summon a plant with taunt equal to your hand size. Good chance in a Druid, especially if it's a big spell Druid, by the time they draw 3, because the summon happens afterwards, they'll say have at least 8. Might be more than that, but I'm going to go with 7 or 8. So 7 mana, say 7/7, that draws 3 cards, is very good. Again, I think it's hard to judge how this one's going to go because, of course, you don't know what other big spells or other stuff is going to come with this. It doesn't even have to be big spells is the thing right now. Druid tends to say ramp, and I know we're losing Lightning Bloom Overgrowth, so hopefully that doesn't happen, but I'm picturing it in today where they can ramp up to, say, the 13 mana or whatever it is, 10 mana, and have a hand almost full or have like 6 or 7 cards left. Therefore, having 7 mana and drawing 3 cards isn't going to like limit their hand size too much, or at least I don't think it will. And then still summoning a minion on top of that. Cenarian Ward replacement, where Cenarian Ward is leaving. It's 7 mana, say, again, we'll say 7/7 or 8/8 on average is my guess. But it draws you 3 cards instead of gaining you 8 armor, and it costs 1 less. So if I'm really comparing those two things, super good. I know it's got a taunt on it, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Without Solar Eclipse 2, playing it twice, which I mean would be insane because you draw 6 cards. I'm gonna give this one 4 stars actually because it just seems so like you could play it in most any Druid deck. So I technically missed this one. It was already there when I recorded the last time, but we're going to include it here. The Shimmering Sunfish for Paladin is a 2/5 for 3, which isn't terrible stats as it is, in all honesty. Like 3/4 is pretty typical, which this is the same 7 stats, just split out a little differently. But Battlecry for holding a holy spell, gain taunt, and divine shield. And being that we're going to look at another Paladin card here in a minute that goes with holy spells, I have a feeling that that's kind of where that class is going. They already had some before with the Librams and things of that are rotating out, thankfully. It looks like they're going to continue that method. So if this is consistently going off, and we'll just say even 75% of the time, 3 mana, 2/5 taunt, divine shield is very strong, considering 1 mana, 1/2 Annoyotron that gets played still in some decks, like aggressive decks or whatever it may be. So you add 1 mana and like +1/+3 to that. Yes, it has a condition, but should be pretty easy to fill, I would think. With that, in a Paladin deck, just because I can see it being played in tempo, aggro, whatever types of Paladin decks there are, I'm going to go on a limb and put this one at 4 stars as well. And then, of course, as mentioned, we're going to go over the Kotori Lightblade, which is the new Paladin legendary that's coming out, which is a 2 mana, 2/3, so decent stat line. After you cast a holy spell on this, cast it again on another friendly minion. So this is where it probably won't get played unless you're confident it's going to live as a 2 mana card. But again, I don't know what holy spells, good holy spells are going to be out. But even if we look at one that's staying in rotation from last year, or the current set, we have Hold the Bridge, which gives a minion +2/+1 divine shield and lifesteal. So if you did say have a 1 mana, like obviously things would die, but let's just or probably die. But let's just think of a really perfect like early game curve. You know, you play a 1 mana minion of some kind. You play Kotori Lightblade. Maybe neither one of those die. Again, probably super unlikely. But then you play the Hold the Bridge on Kotori here, and all of a sudden you give your board +4/+2 with 2 different bodies with Divine Shield. And of course, if you can give this Divine Shield, it's going to make it easier to keep on the board to give other things buffs. I personally think that even just the fact it's a decent stat line, if there's going to be another type of tempo-y, early curve style buff paladin around, this card also is going to get 4 stars. Maybe I just think some cards are too powerful. We'll see when the set comes out, I guess. But I feel like this just fits so well with the archetype. And yeah, for that, I'm going to stick with 4 stars. Gaia the Tectonic is the mage colossal minion. It's got colossal +2. And what it summons is Gaia's Drill, 2 Gaia Drills, sorry. 2 mana, 2 3s with rush that are mechs. That's it for those. But the thing is Gaia the Tectonic's effect is when a friendly mech attacks, deal 1 damage to all enemies. That includes the hero. So this effectively gives you 2 immediate activations of this. If you have other mechs on the board, they can go off. My hesitation here, I'm going to reluctantly even, I think it might be lower than this, but I'm going to reluctantly give this 3 stars because I believe they're probably going to add even more mechs, as so far that's all they've really released for mage. So I'm guessing they're going to be pushing that archetype pretty hard. I could be wrong, it could be higher. As of right now, with everything they've shown, I would put this at 2 stars, but thinking that they're going to up it, I will give this a playable at 3 stars. Sir Finley the Sea Guide. So Sir Finley the Sea Guide, 1 mana, 1/3, just like every other Finley we've seen in the past. Also Battlecry, like the other Finleys we've seen in the past. Swap your hand with the bottom of your deck. This is really interesting. So first of all, it's just a good card. It's like another card that suits with the, putting stuff at the bottom of your deck. I can see this being played with the Phelan that puts 3 primes at the bottom of your deck, and you use Finley more as a late game to go, hey, you're going to put 3, not primes, sorry, colossals in the bottom of your deck. Then you go, boop, and you swap your hand, and all of a sudden now you have 3 colossals in your hand. Thing is, as a 1 mana card, unless you mulliganed poorly, which means you have Sir Finley and then the rest of your hand is bad, as 1 mana, like early game, I should say, this is probably not great. I'm sure there will be times when you play a deck where you mulligan your whole hand, you draw it so poorly, then you get Finley and say another 4 mana, 5 mana card, and you're thinking, oh, this isn't great. So you play Sir Finley and try to basically switch to try again. It's an additional mulligan. It's a 1 mana, 1/3. I think it's a 3-star card. I think in the right deck, it could be really powerful. Like I mentioned, maybe late game or in control decks and stuff. But as an overall neutral card, I think it's just a 3-star card. Blade Master Okani is a 3-star card. Serpent Wig is a 1-star card. Spell Coiler is a 3-star card. The Asharan Sweeper is a 3-star card. Bootstrap Sunkeneer is a 2-star card. Tuskar Trawler is a 3-star card. Bloodscent Vilefin is a 3-star card. Xylag of the Abyss is a 2-star card. Kolak is a 4-star card. Ambassador Phelan is a 4-star card.